Hello everyone, my name is Praveen and today I will show you how to create a ASP.NET Core 6 MVC web application, and I'll be using code first approach to create the database tables, and then I will show you the CRUD operations. I'll also be using scaffolding to generate the code and template automatically. Let's create a new project, and here find out this particular template. Click on this. Next, here provide a name. So I'll be creating a student object, so I am giving the name as a student app. Click on next, create. So now our project has been created. So here click on the models and create a new class, which is basically a new model. Let's name it student, add some properties. So I have added three properties: ID, name, city. We can add some more properties, for example, like let's say add one more integer called as age. Okay, I think that should be enough. We can make it nullable, so which means city and name can contain null values, and so our model is created now. The next step is to add a NuGet package. So let's save this and right click your project and manage NuGet packages. So here browse and search for design. Select this, install, accept. So now this has been installed now. So the next step is to add a controller. So by default a home controller is there, but don't worry about it. Just right click and click on controller. Here select MVC controller and select this one, MVC controller with views using entity framework. So click on add. Here select the model. So ours is student model. So let's select this. Data context class, click on this plus. So whatever default is here, we can leave it as it is. Click on add, and the name is now students controller, so which is fine. You can just click on add. Okay, now our student controller has been created. So you can see all the methods here, so which is basically the action methods which will be used to create the basically to do the perform the CRUD operations. And here you can see a folder students, and you can see all these web pages which has been added automatically. And now after this is done, there is a step to add the migration files, because it is a code first approach. So migration files will be needed, and then we have to run a few commands to do that. So let's go to tools and package manager console. So here write this command, add hyphen migration, and just give any name you wish. So the migration files have been added now. You can see this this data. So create table command has been added to the migration file, so which will create the respective table. And the next is to update the database with this information, so that will create the database tables. So update database. So now the database table should have been should be created. So let's go to SQL Server, Object Explorer. Okay, here. So I click this and then refresh it. So you can see a new database created here, and let it refresh. And here you can see a table called a student, and the columns should be whatever we have provided in the code. So ID, name, age, city. So all this has been created here. So you can go here and click on this SQL Server Object Explorer if you don't have it in your left side window. So that will, through here also you can go there. After that, so now we have everything that is needed. So let's do some checks. So one is the app settings. You can see the connection string here, and this name of the connection string key is student app context. So this is the connection string, which looks fine. And in the program.cs, you'll see this line of code, add db context, and this connection string here is provided. So this is the entry point. All this code will be executed first, and then when you type, when you provide this student's controller path in the browser, so it will go there. So to do, before we do that, we can actually go here and update the layout page so that we get that in the menu. So just copy this piece of code here and name it, so the name is students, so we can name it students, and controller is also students. Let's copy this. So by default it will go to the index action method, so which will show a list of students. When we run it for the first time, you will find an empty page because there is no student data right now in the database. So the menu has been updated. So let's close this and build it. And now run it. So as you can see, now the students link is appearing here. So click on this. And you can see this template, but nothing is there. So create new. And here let's give a name. And then created. Let's create few more. So now you can see this is the create operation. So I said I'll show you the CRUD operations. So this is create, and now the index is doing the read operation, which is so through this create new, we created the student, and this is the read operation through which you are able to see what we have created. And the update operation is you can also go to the details. That is also a read operation for that individual student. And you can go back to the list, click on this edit. So edit is where we have edited this. We can edit this name, for example, to Scott, and then you can see this Scott is here. So that is the update operation. And then the delete operation is if you want to delete this record, or let's delete any record. Let's say delete this last middle record, Larry. So delete it, and now that is gone. So now we have only 2 records. Yeah, so that's the CRUD operation, and that's how you do it using the core first approach. So quickly I'll show you the database table also. Let's stop this and go to the database table. So view data, you can see Scott and Mary are there in the database table. So that's what it was coming to us. Now I'll show you what is done. So what happens exactly when you perform a CRUD operations. So I will take 1 or 2 examples and show you there. Let's put a breakpoint here on the edit. I want to show you the update operation and what happens here. So let's run this again. Click on the students. And now let's update Mary's age. So let's make it 18 and save on this. And you can see it has hit the breakpoint now. Okay, now here it has hit the breakpoint. Now let's, so you can use F10 to move to the next line. So as you can see, now here you have a line of code which is called as update. So this takes a student object. So this student object is passed here. So this student object you can see will contain the details like 18 New York, 3 Mary. So these are the things which we have added from the view. And so we are telling that, okay, now update it to 18. So now when you hit the update button, so the update is done, but it is not still saved in the database. So if you do the save, so that will go to the database and then that will update the database table. Now this is permanent, the change is permanent. So when it is when it is saved in the database, so there is a catch you can see. So it may happen that multiple people may be trying to update the same record at the same time. So if that situation happens, then this particular error will be thrown, which is db update concurrency exception. And here you can write your own logic. If you want to log something, you can do that here. Usually that is what we do in the enterprise applications. And then return redirection name of index. So it will go back to the index action method and show the page where you can see all the name of the students. So you can click on the continue button and go back, and you can see that Mary's age has now been updated. So that's how a create is done. I can also show you the perhaps details. So details also, let me explain how it works. So click on details. I have already put the breakpoint. Right, has hit the details action method, and if you press F10, so now what it is doing is it is trying to find that particular student object in the context. So it is using a query here, which is a link query. So through this, it is trying to find out the ID which we are trying to retrieve from the database, the details of that ID. So that is what it is saying here, m.id equal to ID. This ID is this one which it is getting from the view, and then it is checking that ID with the database ID, and wherever there is a match, it will retrieve that student object and it will send it back to the view. So you can see it is checking if it has returned anything. If it is null, it will throw a error. If it is not null, which means it has found a match, in that case that particular student object will be returned back. So if you go here to the student object, you can see it has retrieved this value, okay, from the database. Now if you go back, you can see the same thing in the view. So click on continue and you can see Scott 21 London. That is the same object which we saw in the code. So these are the two examples I wanted to show you. Rest of the examples are quite straightforward. Like creating the index is very simple. It is just getting it and creating a to list of that. Similarly, create is also simple because it is empty, so it's returning an empty view, and you have to then add the details there in this first create, and then here you have to post that. So this is where a new object will actually be created when you hit the create button. Let me actually quickly show you that as well. So go back to the list. This create will create an empty view which I was talking about. So if you go back here and put a breakpoint, let's put a breakpoint here and put a breakpoint here. Okay, so you can see there are two creates. This is operation overloading. So where the create has the same method name but multiple different signatures. Okay, so this don't have any parameters, this has some parameters, so it is operation overloading. And so the first one is, so when you click this, so the empty one will be called, which is nothing, so it will just return an empty view. So click on continue, and then you can see empty view is returned, so nothing is there. Now if you enter something, let's enter this and then click on create. Now it is hitting this particular breakpoint. Now it has data, so that other create button calls this, which is basically a post method. You can see here it is a post method, and this is a get. So the get is when you retrieve something, that is a get from the server, and when you want to pass some data back to the server, so that is a post. Basically it is a new operation. Post is a new operation where something is newly created. Okay, so that is the post operation. And here it will check the model state if it is valid. So there's a bind operation, so which will get the data from the view back to the controller through the bind operation, and to the bind method, sorry, and this here is binding the student's properties, okay, to the student model. So now the model is being updated, so that's why the bind will update the model. Okay, so once that is valid, so context.add and then save changes and then redirect back to action. So you can see after this line it will redirect back to action, and then you can press F5 and you can now see that the index is called and it has retrieved the new value, which is this last record back. So hope now you understand a bit better about the CRUD operations and scaffolding, and how you can use .NET 6 to create tables through the code first approach. Please like the video and subscribe to my channel, and also post your comments down in the comment section. Thanks a lot for watching.